Good afternoon, super friends. Happy Friday, September 26th, and welcome to the Sacred News and Weather. I am coming in once again with not enough time to probably give you the messages that I really do want to give you, but I had a busy day and I have to pick up my kids in a little bit, and it probably is actually in service to all of you because when I have to be succinct, I tend to even channel more succinctly. Sometimes in my channeling, I'm not really aware of what's coming out of my mouth so much as it's just coming. So sometimes when I have a time limit, I'm good with that time space bendy thing, and so I will end exactly when I need to move on to the next thing. It happens in my group containers. It happens in my one-on-one coaching as well, where I have no sense of time, but I bring us out of meditation or bring us out of what we're doing at the exact right time for me to move on to my next client. So I'm going to rely on some of that today. I do want to mention briefly, someone came into my DMs in Facebook and asked me about what I do, why I call these messages channeled messages, and am I channeling someone? Specifically, they asked me if I'm channeling a specific person like Esther Hicks channels Abraham, or even what's his toes who wrote Conversations with God. Neil Donald Walsh was channeling God. And there everything is very nuanced. There's no one right way to describe what it is that I'm doing, but in the shortest version of the answer is no, I'm not channeling a specific entity. Um, I sometimes can and sometimes do. But the trouble that I have with channeling a specific entity is that, like, it's kind of hit or miss, or like I don't know exactly who I'm going to get. The work that I do here, the work that I do in general, as I say, I'm picking up on the energetic threads of all of the people who are watching these videos. So I'm getting a little bit of everything or something something from everyone. But what I'm actually channeling is a higher version of myself, and that's the best way I can describe it. It is not Dana who's sharing the messages with you, but it is sort of emptied Dana who is connected with spirit and connected with Mama Earth and just connected with someone who doesn't, or a being that doesn't have any judgment, doesn't have any opinion, doesn't have any agenda. It's just sort of this neutral space where I am listening and spirit is moving through me. Uh, I say my guides, but when I say that, it's not a specific entity. I hear things in my left ear. I'll see images. Generally, I see images on the right, but sometimes if I'm being shown that something is ancestral, I'm seeing it coming from the left and moving toward the right. I've learned to listen and sort of have an understanding of where things are coming from and why, but I'm not channeling a specific entity, and I'm not giving you Dana's opinion on the matter so much as I'm allowing what wants to come through me. Some of you may be familiar with Edgar Cayce, the work of Edgar Cayce, and a lot of what I do is very similar to what he did. And I did not study him. I did not know anything about him until after I started having these things happen to me. And I've come into an understanding that what he was tapping into, it's very similar. At least that's kind of the feeling that I have about it. For Edgar Cayce, he was born in the late 1800s. He lived through like mid 1940s, and he was known as the sleeping prophet. And he would go into a trance-like state and give these readings. He would give health readings. He would give mental health readings. He would give predictions about the world. I'm not that good, by the way, just to be clear yet. I won't limit myself, but also, I don't really go into a trance so much as I just go into this other space, and it's like just a slightly different. space. There are different versions of what I do out there. You may have heard of things like more scientifically studied, like remote viewing, Stephen Schwartz, or just like non-localized consciousness is another term for what I do. Um, but there are lots of people who do this. I believe that you can do this too. I don't believe that I'm unique. I just believe that I learned to listen maybe sooner than some people is all. So I'm going to leave that. Though I will say, in my Earth and Ether Collective, I once a month, Eden and I do a Q&A, and it is like my favorite session that I do with them because people bring the most wonderful, thoughtful, amazing questions to us. And I had the thought, especially after that conversation or after that question came through in my messages, um, that it might be kind of fun to do a Q&A session here in YouTube where I can do like a YouTube live and have you come in and ask me questions. So if that's something you might be interested in, let me know because I would be more than happy to do that. It would be really fun. Um, so yeah, okay, now I'm really going to leave that. And I'm going to come into our message for the day. Again, as with everything I deliver here, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. Don't fit yourself into a box. These readings are timeless. These messages are timeless. So if you are tuning in today, live or not live, but within 24 hours, awesome. If you're catching it a week later, if you're catching it years later, know that when you're finding this particular message, it is very likely meant for you. And if you're not seeing yourself, no worries. Move on right along. Okay, for real. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to take a deep breath because I feel like we're going to go fast today. And I invite you to take a deep breath with me. I just want to settle my energy. I get really excited to talk about this stuff, all of it. So, the first thing I heard when I closed my eyes for meditation for our group, it actually made me giggle, and it's making me giggle now. And it is a throwback to like my 70s cartoon days. And I can't even remember what the cartoon was, but I was hearing, "Which way do we go, George? Which way do we go?" And of course, it's also resonant of mice and men, but I don't think that that is what was coming through. I think it was the cartoon, like, "Which way do we go, George? Which way do we go?" And the image that came was the tarot image that came was the Two of Swords, which is a Libra card, which is we are in Libra season now. So it is the energy of being at a crossroads and needing to make a decision. And, we are still under the influence of that eclipse energy as well. And earlier in the week, I alluded to the fact that some of you might be in a place of like, well, for me, it was like, well, that didn't quite work. I'm still here. But know that the energy of the eclipse it's unfolding. We are not, it can be like 6 months of unfolding following that very big energy. And so we're moving into Libra season, which is the scales, which is balancing everything. And so some of you may be finding yourself where, and maybe at the beginning of the week, you felt like you were stuck. Now, here at the end of the week, it feels like you might be coming to a crossroad. And it might be that feeling of which way do we go? And so I asked to be shown, okay, like what crossroads are we at? Are we talking job? Are we talking relationship? Are we talking a move? Like what are we talking about here? And the answer was like, yes, yes, it's all of these things. And so there's no one specific thread of energy that came forward more than the other, except right now I'm seeing the Three of Cups. I'm seeing the traditional Rider-Waite image of the Three of Cups, which is three women dancing kind of under a maypole, which feels to me right now, it can be a card of celebration. It can be a card of coming together. It can be a card of friendship, but there is a feeling of reunion here. Like and now I'm hearing, should I stay or should I go? So this feels very specifically relationship oriented, but I can also see where there is an element of work and family, like all of it's not just a like, do should I stay or leave this relationship? It's not just that. I keep doing this and I know this could be like time out. Like I know it could be a lot of things. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just keep seeing it. But it's what I'm seeing is two swords crossing. uh, the energy of metal, I'm going to say something there too, because we are in fall. And in Chinese five element theory, the element of metal and that sword, those swords come in to feature really prominently. Healthy metal brings us up in the tree of life to Gavora and Hesed, to the throat chakra. Gavora on the left pillar of the tree of life, which is discernment, and Hesed on the right pillar, the more masculine pillar, is compassion, which I always find interesting. That one might think that the feminine energy would be compassion, and the masculine energy would be discernment. But on the tree of life, you're going to get a little mini lesson here. In the tree of life, the left pillar is the divine feminine, and it is the pillar of structure. It's the pillar of receptivity. It's the pillar of bringing things into form. And on the right pillar, it's the masculine. It is the outgoing energy. And so if you can imagine that the element of metal is the element of discernment, it is cutting things out of your life. The image that my teachers gave me, it's like a sushi knife. It's like so precise and so sharp that it just like slices precisely when the element of metal is being used well. It's being used to discern, it's being used to cut out that which is unnecessary from our lives. And the element of metal out of balance sort of becomes that like wishy-washy, like you're gazing at your reflection, you're like, oh, should I stay or should I go? I don't know. And you're a little bit mesmerized by the glint of the metal. And so that's what's coming forward. And just to finish my thought, because I feel like I jumped on compassion being masculine, just the idea of compassion moving from us, using our voice, using our throat chakra to speak with discernment. No means no, the precision of the sword, but also compassion, which is speaking with love and discernment. And when compassion gets out of balance, it can turn into that more like unhealthy metal energy of like people pleasing and like just like being a little bit too gooey with your words and cloying, like and sweet, and not actually discerning and truthful, but just like a little too ooey gooey sticky. And so that crossroads feels poignant here as well. Like, can you be compassionate and discerning and still make your decision? Like, are you going to lean toward the people pleasing and away from what you actually desire? Or are you going to be like cruel and use that sword of metal to be stabby? Or are you going to be concise? If you're saying no to something, can you do so with compassion and discernment at the same time? And so I want to bring that in here. And I already feel like we're going to be running over time and I'm going to be running to pick up my children, but so be it. It's coming through and I'm not going to stop. So this feeling of the maypole, of the Three of Cups, of reunion, it has reunion energy to it. It feels like some of you are considering either going back to some place you've already been, someone you've already been with, or not. And there's that crossroads for you. There is an element of in it like that I'm just feeling here, and it may be separate or it may be part of the same thread of energy, but there's an element of like people pleasing amongst like you know where you want to go, you know what you want to do, and that, like, if you were left to your own druthers, you would know exactly where you want to go. But there's that element of people pleasing that I'm seeing, which might be the threesome here, where it's like, but my family, my kids, my Uncle Joe, like there are people who might have very strong opinions about where it is that you're going. And that might be holding you back and keeping you at this crossroads and holding you longer here at the crossroads than where your intuition already knows it wants to go. So I can just see like the image is the maypole, which is seemingly joyous, but like people kind of pulling on you and keeping you from where you want to go and keeping you in that place of indecision. There's something more, and there's something about a workplace that's coming in. And so I'm just going to be quiet for a minute. Yeah, so the feeling is also like what that which you already know, which is toxic, versus where you want to go, which is uncertain and unknown. And keeping yourself in that place of uncomfortable certainty just because the paycheck is certain or you're already established. Like what I just saw was the image of like a mailman with a mail route, and it doesn't mean that there's necessarily a mail person in here, but the feeling is like you know the loop, you already know the route, you already know the loop, you already know the route, and so you kind of like even though you just feel like you're circling, kind of like you're circling the drain, like at least it's a known drain, at least you know the route, at least you can like I don't know, do it high or like I don't listen to podcasts and not have to pay any attention. Whereas stepping into moving through the crossroad toward where you actually want to go, where your intuition is telling you you want to go, stepping there means you're going to have to work. And it's the kind of work that you actually really want to do. But there's this feeling of, I haven't done work for so long that I'm not even sure I can actually do the work. And what I want to say is, okay, if we're back up, we're going to go back to the tree of life for a minute. We're going to go back to the throat chakra, using our voice with discernment and compassion, but also just separating from the voice, discernment and compassion. I want you to energetically turn, if you can imagine you have a satellite dish here in your throat or here at Gavora and Hesed. I want you to imagine you have a satellite dish here, and I want you to turn that satellite dish and tune it into your heart. Your heart in the tree of life is to ferret. It is the truth. It is the gold standard. It is the truth of who you are at the like the most etheric level. And I want you to attune yourself to your heart for a moment. And then I'm going to ask you to do one more thing here. If you have another satellite dish, because we do, in your sacral chakra, in your pelvic bowl. This is on the tree of life. This is Yasod. This is the place of the wounded child. It's the place of the good mother. It's also, if we're talking chakras, we're talking the center of creativity, of fertility, of abundance. There's a lot riding here, and it often keeps us in our wounding and keeps us in our old patterns and keeps us in our fear. So I want you to imagine you turning your Yasod satellite dish up to your heart as well. So tuning into your heart, tuning your whole being into your heart, and choosing from this place, from this place where all of your energy is directed toward your heart. And for some of you, I can feel like, oh, this is not familiar. It feels good, but it feels weird. And just be with your heart, everything tuned toward your heart. And then if you can imagine your central channel, the center of your body is open also towards spirit and open also to Mama Earth, so that you're one big open channel with these two satellite dishes attuned to your heart center. And if you're at that crossroads, here's that timeout again. If you're at a timeout, see if you can just stay here in your heart space and see if the answer comes from there. Not the answer of all of the people pulling on your maypole, rebalancing the scales, of the Two of Swords, of Libra. I just want to see if there's another card image that wants to come before I leave you. Yeah, I'm getting divine masculine, divine feminine. I'm getting emperor and empress energy. For some of you, this really is about a relationship, but I do feel other places in here as well, like career decisions, moves, like are you moving? Are you changing jobs? All of that's in here, but the most prominent, and it could be that the emperor and the empress are coming in because you already are embodying that energy and you're being invited to step all the way in to the balance of your divine masculine and feminine. Yeah, I think that's actually what this is. Not necessarily about relationship, but about balancing the divine masculine and the divine feminine in you, embodying their power, the power of the divine masculine and feminine inside of you, and allowing yourself to choose from there. How did I do on time? Ha ha ha! I did it. I'm going to go and be on time to pick up my children for the win. Okay, happy Friday. I love you. If you enjoyed this message, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Let me know if you want to do a live Q&A. That would be really fun. I think I would have to figure out logistically how to do that, but I could do that. That's what my dear assistant Stacy is for. She helps me with all of these things that I am kind of not very good at. Very not very good at. She helps me with all of those things. So if you are interested, let me know. I would love to answer your questions in real time. And I'll see you here on Monday if I don't get sassy beforehand and leave you a message. Though, full disclosure, I will be hardcore soccer momming this weekend, so I might not be very available. All right, for real. Bye. Thank you.